What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Welcome to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Today's guest is a personal friend of mine. He is someone, ladies and gentlemen, that can kick my ass and then break me in half and then fix me. And you want to talk about someone that develops infrastructure, that builds infrastructure, repairs infrastructure. Dr. Derek Myers, thank you for coming on the show, my friend. So I met him because of injury, and we became very quick friends and have since then formed a very strong friendship. And you have broke me, pieced me back together, glued me up, duct tape, Band-Aids, needles in places that were desperately in need. So I think I came to you a few weeks, maybe a month or so after I tore my pec, and then I started having some serious imbalance issues. And for those of you that train, you know that the training is only as good as the recovery from the training. 100%. If you can't recover from the training, you end up just becoming a wrecking ball of injuries. And one of the most beneficial things that you did for me was help me with my imbalances. You got me stable, showed me where, what, and how to do certain things that I didn't have any insight on, and then the tips and tricks along the way that I didn't know. So you taught me a lot. So from a student to the teacher, I thank you for that, Derek, because it was crucial for the recovery that I had there. And then you get me on the mats and kick my ass. So let's jump right into the iron and infrastructure. The whole theme of the show is how the iron helped build my infrastructure. And really in a very similar fashion it has for you as well, just a little bit different arena. So for you, what is wellness and health and fitness? It's your whole life. And our passions are very similar. What has it done for you? And how does it keep you healthy? Oh, wait a second, ladies and gentlemen. Let's also mention that he is a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He's getting ready to go to Vegas next week. So this man is a certified badass, and he has the belt to prove it. So let's just get that out of the way. So Derek, let's talk about wellness. Let's talk about health, Jiu-Jitsu, the chiropractic business that you own. Let's talk about all of it and what it does for your day-to-day. How does it make you feel? How does it make you prepare? Just the whole entire thing, because I know what it does for me.
Well, wellness improves life all around. And I mean, you could go down a lot of different avenues with it, but the thing that stands out in my mind is when I was in school, I had a professor tell me one time that he said, everybody dies, but not everybody has to suffer the process. So that was it. It was like, and then, I'm getting out to go help people and help people recover and live healthy lives. And, what kind of provider would I be? Like, what kind of person would I be if I wasn't living that? Yeah. I lift weights. I do some of that. That never really clicked as hard for me. I mean, obviously you guys hear, you animals, you eat that up, you chew that for breakfast and that's your thing. And I do that, I do some weights and I do that. But the thing that Jiu-Jitsu just really clicked for me. I wrestled ever since I was real young. And so now, the first time, I got asked to go to a class and this guy grabs a hold of me and I couldn't do anything. I'm like, I got to learn this.
It is so humbling. For me, I don't roll nearly as much as I want to, and I haven't for a while. We started to for a while. Priorities, time, whatever, just became different for a little bit. I will be back though, but I have never, as a 6'3", 235-pound dude, I have never felt so hopeless against someone that was half my size because of technique. You don't really know how vulnerable you are as a person until you have someone that is a technician in Jiu-Jitsu and puts you in a position that you cannot move, because being a big dude doesn't matter. It has its advantages and its places, but I can get my ass handed to me by someone 150 pounds, and females are very, very prone to being savages, and you would never know because they're small.
Yeah.
And it is like the most unforeseen thing when you see a high-level jiu-jitsu competitor that is a female put a physically imposing man on their back and in a chokehold and tap in a matter of 20 seconds.
Yeah. They can
I
put
love
you,
watching it myself.
Yeah, they can put you in a bad spot, a dangerous spot before you even realize
Yes.
you're there. So they are naturally better at jiu-jitsu than men.
Well, the flexibility
Yeah, the
component,
hip mobility, hip
the
angles.
leverage,
Yeah.
the leverage, and then also, majority are more prone to have like bony elbows and sinking tighter chokes with their forearm, bones. Like I know my daughter came up to me one day and was just messing around, and she got her bone right on my throat, like right in the sweet spot. And she was to the point my face started turning red, and she realized it. And then I tapped out just to show her, to make sure she understood that's what she needed to do. But she had my ass, and I started laughing. I loved it because that was the whole point. So not only are you a technician, but you're also a trainer, a teacher. You teach my daughter in class. You have for probably a year and a half, and she despised jiu-jitsu when we first started. And I told you whenever we first started, I said, I am not going to be a coach of any sort to her. I'm going to just be a dad and a spectator and let her just enjoy the process, because I know that if I force it on her, she's going to not want to do it because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not that enjoyable. She's a princess. She's
Right.
a beautiful young kid, 6 years old. She's going to need that one day, though. And I know that. And it is teaching her delayed gratification like no other, because she goes and works hard week after week after week and doesn't get a stripe. And right when she is ready to completely throw in the towel, she gets a stripe, and it completely changes everything. And it has been so absolutely impactful for me as a dad, because I have never felt joy as much as I have with her doing things, to see that stripe be put on her belt. It almost puts me in damn tears, to be honest. But the impact that you're having is massive, and it's impacted you personally. But how's it impacted you as a dad?
Well, one of the main, I guess, philosophies or thought processes of jiu-jitsu is learning to be comfortable and think your way through a really crappy situation.
Yes.
I mean, being under a 250-pound guy that is trained and well-trained, like a brown or black belt that's that big,
Yeah.
and being able to calm down and try to think your way out of that and not flip out.
Yeah.
The rest of the world, there's a lot of problems that don't look nearly as big at that point.
It's a game of chess.
It is,
right?
It is. And so, being a dad, I mean, you've got to look at these things, and the last thing you want to do is overreact. You don't want your kid to see you. You want your kid to see you respond and not react to a situation. You want them to see you as you want them to see you.
Right.
I want to be his hero. I want
Yes.
him to be able to, like, when something goes wrong, you want to be like, you want your kid to say, man, something really went wrong, I better call my dad, as opposed to, man, my dad's going to kill me.
I love it, because emotional regulation is very difficult in an instant gratification society.
Yeah.
Even as a parent, we fall into the same trap. We're so human. Just because we're older doesn't mean that we're not human. We are living in the current time right now with the instant gratification. It's not that we're not prone to get it. We're just as exposed to it as anybody else. We just have more responsibility on regulating it. And it is hard. I expect things done yesterday. I'm very impatient in a lot of my endeavors, but being a parent is so hard sometimes, to have that emotional response or not having any response at all in the right time, because one wrong response can be very detrimental to that relationship. Yeah.
Lasting impactful.
And so the emotional regulation that you have as a parent and in jiu-jitsu are so similar, because you can be in a really bad situation or a really uncomfortable situation, and how you respond to the adversity is the ultimate driver of the outcome.
Right.
And it's so hard to navigate sometimes. As a coach, as a father, what has been the most impact for you from the coaching perspective? And you personally, how has it turned around and gave you a return that you wouldn't have expected?
Legacy. Just coaching in general, but especially your kid. And I try not to coach my own kid. Let's start there. there's some times I can coach with him and help him and stuff, but we have some good coaches, and the female coach, Bryn,
Brenda's an animal, by the way.
Yeah.
She is so good with females.
She's
too.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's done a wonderful job with
the kids.
your daughter
My
as
gosh,
well,
yeah,
for sure.
Freya absolutely adores her.
But
shout out Bryn, blue belt. Go kick ass next week. Let's go.
yeah, but as that legacy, to see somebody do something successfully that you taught them, that's huge.
is.
I still compete. I love competing, but I'm not 25, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in my athletic prime.
Right.
I'm going to be as much in my prime as I can for what my body's going to give me, and I'll compete, and I'll put it all out there every time. But I'm at that point in my life now where I need to be teaching, and that I need to relay that to somebody else.
Yeah.
And to see my kid again in those hard times, in the good times, and like how you respond to all the times, not just the bad ones.
Right.
That impacts me, that I'm leaving my legacy, that all my experiences that my father and my grandpa laid before me.
And everything that we go through in life happens for us so we can become better. And whenever praying for strength, know that the opportunity to get strong is going to come your way. You're not just going to get stronger by wishing for it or praying for it. You have to actually do it. And what you're doing is, you're 50 years old, right? You're still competing at a very high level. And 50-year-olds in society today, I would say 50 to 60% can't get out of bed, let alone go compete in Jiu-Jitsu at the Worlds in Vegas next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you understand how big this deal is, but this man right here is doing some pretty epic shit. So with the disease today, with your passion to help other people, it all stems from the desire to give back, because we've all had our setbacks and overcame them, and then our setbacks are exposed to us. The woman in the red dress analogy from The Matrix, where every time something comes your way, as you get better at business, opportunity gets better. But when you are trying to help people, you're exposed to so much more disease, illness, setback. What is the biggest leader in chronic disease to you? What is the thing that drives so many people having it?
Complacency. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody's too comfortable. You look at people that garden their own food, right? And I'm not talking about, farmers definitely, but like just even people that have a little vegetable garden off the side of their house.
Canned veggies once a year, right?
They've got enough understanding about that, and there's appreciation, but they're putting forth effort to keep themselves healthy. It's easy to pull through the fast food. Man, you'd be shocked. People would be shocked if they knew what the food industry is allowed to get away with and what's in our food. Look at a label. I know, look, we've talked about Mountain Dew, right? And I'm not a fan of Mountain Dew, but look at the label of a can of Mountain Dew in the United States and a can of Mountain Dew in Europe.
Yes.
And now, neither of them are good to drink, but you see all the chemicals that you can't pronounce in there, and just the stuff we're putting in our bodies and not paying attention. We're complacent, and people just don't care because it's convenient. And
the oils were the ultimate driver, the 80s or so.
Yeah.
I read a study the other day. It was talking about vegetable oil was actually used for pigs to make pigs bigger, to get more meat. So they blow these pigs up, and 3 or 4 weeks after they would get huge. They'd all have a heart attack and die. So they took it and diluted it and put it into the marketplace for human consumption.
Yeah, it's
tell me how that's supposed to work out, right?
The oils are bad. The amount of sugar is bad. The dyes. And
it's not even like real sugar. A lot of it.
Yeah,
it's processed sugar. So your body does not actually digest or break it down. It just goes in you.
Yeah, and there's no way to truly process and metabolize the number of calories that we get in a day too. We're eating high caloric food with crappy nutritional value.
So just for reference, I just looked it up. PepsiCo's 2023 marketing and advertising budget was $3.8 billion.
Wow.
$3.8 billion. And I thought it was half of that. So that just goes to show the amount of push for these products to be sold. Now, they are obviously backed with multiple different brands under the PepsiCo company, but It is massive business. We are consuming food that is so palatable and so unsatiating. It is like a addiction right away, where we get addicted to food and don't even realize it.
That's the key right there.
And that's why the marketing budget's so high.
I think if people got their heads around the idea that your food is an addiction, just like alcohol or tobacco or anything sugar. In fact, there was a study a number of years ago. They took rats. I can't remember the numbers. I think it was 41 rats or something like that. And they got them basically addicted to crack cocaine. And then they put them one at a time in this little bin, and I had a little cup of sugar and a little cup of crack. Almost all those rats went to the sugar before they went to the crack.
And that's the driving force behind of it, because it's accessible at every vending machine, every street corner. You can't walk 500 feet down the road in
the grocery store, right there. I love it for kids. It starts you real young.
And I've seen it myself in how, I have 2 young kids, 6 and 3. They enjoy sugar just like I do. It's not that I don't enjoy eating something that tastes good. I just am aware enough to know what it's going to do to me.
Moderation, man. That's
everything.
What it's about. I mean, our bodies need sugar. 80% of our brain's energy is sugar, but you need it in good forms and you need it in moderation.
It's using it with the intention of return on the investment, right? So if I'm going to eat something, I normally try to stabilize my blood sugar throughout the day. I eat low sugar throughout the day. If I want to eat something at night to spike my insulin, and then it drops right before bed, I sleep better, right? And me and Corey have talked about this at length, but it's just something that I found works for me. I'm 80-20 probably on clean eating, but I know 80% of the time when I'm functioning in a day-to-day, I need to be efficient. If I'm at the house hanging out with the kids on the weekend, yeah, we'll have some tasty treats and enjoy, whatever it is, but I understand what it's going to do to me. I'm aware of it. Awareness is something that I talk about on the show all the time, because people just don't know.
Right.
I think awareness is one of the biggest contributing factors, or the lack thereof, to the state of obesity right now.
Well, and you're hitting on something too, is that, I'll take my kid for ice cream. I'll take him for this. We do that. But he also knows, hey, this is a treat. It's not a staple. And that's the thing, is that becomes the everyday, as opposed to you, who you're living a lifestyle that corrects and moderates and accounts for that, as opposed to that becoming the whole thing and not balancing that out.
Yeah. And I don't need it, but if I want it, I'll have it.
Right.
I don't need it. I have done it just to prove a point at certain times that I will not eat ice cream with everyone else, and I'll say, I just don't want any. Just show, like, what do you mean you don't want ice cream? Like, I don't need it. I don't want it. It affects me zero. But that's not, like, I do it with intent to show that it's possible now, just as like one of them sideline, leadership things with my kids, but I don't need it because I can live without it.
Yeah.
But I can't live without protein, fat. I have to have certain things in my life to fuel me, but ice cream is not one of them.
Right.
It's more of a luxury type item. Another component to this is the celebration aspect, birthday party.
Right.
We get this big promotion at work. We go celebrate with alcohol. We have a birthday party. We have a birthday cake. It is shown as a way to treat yourself after an accomplishment.
It's an occasion, not a lifestyle.
Right. But with the occasion, also, it's like, why are we putting poison in our body after we just accomplish something? Why are we chugging a 12-pack of beer after this promotion? And so it's understanding the awareness component, I think, is so crucial. Just know who you are, what it's going to do to you, and have the ability to say no. If you cannot stop yourself from doing it, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very unrecognized today, because obesity is more common than it's not. But I cannot relate to someone that's okay to be fat and sloppy and is proud of it. I don't care who you are, you're not really proud of it. It's just masking insecurity and being uncomfortable.
If people are trying, and that's the thing. If somebody's putting forth the effort, I will bend over backwards. I will do everything I can. But if you're not willing to put in the effort and you just want to come into my office and you just want me to fix everything, I understand. You go out, people do things, accidents. Hey, we went and had fun, did this, did that. But like, if you're not trying to, I will help you all day long if you're trying. If you're not trying, I can't help you.
gotta have, my life is, my motto is persistent patience. Good intentions and max effort is my persistent patience. And persistent my pursuit, patient now with the result because of adversity in the past. But I cannot stand when someone comes to me for help and it's something I clearly understand well, takes my advice and leaves it at the door when they walk out, and then goes back to doing the same thing they were doing and then comes back to me again. It is the most frustrating thing because people don't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
It's like a self-sabotaging thing. What have you seen with that? Why are people so reluctant to change?
Patterns. We're by nature, we're habitual. And that's where, and you kind of hit on, we've talked about, the addictive aspect of sugar and the patterns and the behavior and the lifestyle. And that's what this is. It's you get in a pattern and you get comfortable. And you get comfortable and complacent and you don't realize that you're gradually winding down. And then one day you wake up and realize, why am I 40 pounds overweight? Why do my knees hurt? Yeah. Why do I have these headaches? Why am I depressed? Why does my sleep suck? And they're wondering these things. And then you start looking back, I've just kind of let myself go. And the symptoms always follow the problem.
Yes.
And so they don't realize how bad you are until something shows up. And now that road is difficult. And that's the one thing that I preach to patients, and not just patients, but in the gym as well. Jiu-jitsu is not like a lot of other martial arts where you show up and in 3 years you're a black belt. It's even an above average, like a collegiate level athlete who's training 4 days a week. It's going to take them every bit of 10 years to get a black belt. There's a few phenoms out there, but for the most part, that's where it is. And it's like, you got to understand that's a lifestyle, and just with anything. And so if you want to be there, if I want to be able to go out and throw the ball with my 10-year-old kid, or go, down to Gatlinburg and ride in that big bouncy thing and not be crippled, I got to do this stuff, man. I got to lead from the front. I got to be the example that I want him to see. And
it's right back to the basics that we started with, by action. How are you leading? People are always watching. People are always going to see what you're doing. At all times, we are being exposed by our action, not our words. Words just tell you who someone wants to be. Action shows you who they are. And if you're preaching all these things that you can do to get your life better and you're not doing any of them, you're really just being hypocritical. And in all reality, the one that is in front, the leader, the pioneer, is ultimately paying a bigger debt than what they sign up for to get the thing they desire to have. And it's really somewhat sacrificial because it helps everybody else more than them. So when you want to lead and leave this legacy and break the mold, you can't break the mold if you don't break down barriers, if you don't break through barriers. And barriers are set up all around us. And a lot of the time, our environment creates these barriers that are foundational because we're raised in them and born through them. Creating habits that are different is tough. It's not easy, but it's so simple. Yeah, I think there's two, main aspects when I think about helping people change their lives in the clinic. And before we even talk about what's going on with them, before we talk about their health problems or anything, there's two aspects. One is where do you want to be? Because in to that point, if you know where you want to be, that's great. But you have to now convince yourself that it's when, not if, or it's how, not if. The word if doesn't show up. View it as it's already done. Right. Yep. I'm going there. I don't know how I may get there. I don't necessarily know but I'm going to get there. There may be a bunch of hurdles. It may take me 40 years to get, but I'm going to get there. Yep. And you don't quit. Yep. And then the other aspect is the worst word that you can hear in the clinic for somebody telling you they want to change is the word should. I should do this. I really should do this. I should get into that. I should probably do that. No, you are doing that. Yeah. Do you want to do that? Yeah. And are you going to do it? I don't even care if you want to do it. Are you going to do it? Because the reality of it is, what ailment is setting this person back that's coming to see you is only going to continue to compound. If they're bad enough to recognize it, to come to you, it's probably pretty bad. It's only going to progressively get worse because at some point the acceleration of pain is going to continue to get worse because you're not doing things to overcome it. And you're not getting younger. And your body don't recover as well. Right. Every component is trending downwards if your habits trend downwards. The Compound Effect is one of my favorite books. It's the one I recommend for everyone starting a personal development journey. And what we do every day ultimately stacks up in the end, whether good or bad. So whatever we do, whatever we think about, what we consume shit, we're probably going to talk about shit. Garbage in versus garbage out. If you bring in garbage, you're going to push out garbage. So habits, consumption of media, anything that we do consume will ultimately drive our decisions throughout the day, because we're wired a certain way in general to do what we see. It's very tough to break that mold. And there's a lonely period whenever you decide to.
Yes.
So I have a project I'm working on. The iron built my infrastructure. That's the whole reason that we're here. That's why the show was started in the first place. I'm iron built. Heavy equipment, weightlifting is what built my infrastructure personally and professionally. And there's a point in time where the pain of staying the same is so great that the pain of change is not that bad. It's more painful to stay in the same current reality than it is to change.
And if you're lucky enough, you'll realize that point at some point in your life
Where you can actually do something about it. Some people never get the chance.
They never recognize that spot.
And that's why I'm here. That's what has drove me to the point of wanting to help, because I have seen probably 10 or 20 people within my industry that I was close to, knew personally, that died in the last 5 or 6 years probably because of health. And I've seen these choices every day, the 12-pack of Mountain Dew in the back of the truck, Taco Bell twice a day. I've seen these compounding choices, and then I just thought to myself, how do they get out of bed in the morning? Well, they only did until, they were younger than you, some of them that passed away from these choices. And whether or not they would have changed, I don't know, but just being able to create awareness, whether it has value or not, we'll see. But just knowing different, knowing that you have a choice every day. There's 2 doors that you can walk through every day when you wake up. It's the wellness or the illness. And normally the illness is like a delayed time. You're unconsciously working toward illness. If you don't eat your food as medicine, one day you're going to eat your medicine as food. And holy shit, think about that. Look at people when they get older and they have to eat food through a straw, or, so detrimental. And knowing that every day is a choice to make the right one or the wrong one. I challenge people to start, when I helped anyone, with a 21-day experiment of, you don't have to do anything else, but for 21 days straight, every day for 21 days, it has to be consistent in a row. 5 push-ups, 5 squats, 5 sit-ups. I just need you to commit to that. They think it's for weight loss or to get stronger physically. It's not. It's to sharpen the mental component. It's just creating a habit. Everyone that I've had actually do that has came back to me after 21 days. One guy in particular had a 30-pound weight loss goal and lost like 12 or 15 pounds in that 21 days. And I started laughing. I was like, dude, I had no intention of you losing any weight. Because what the exercise was, it took you 2.5 minutes, is not going to actually equate as weight loss or getting better, really. It's so minimal, but the habit will stay with you forever. And it's transformed him and a lot of people in his life now. And it's so rewarding to watch that because it was so simple for me.
And you do that, and a lot of people want the fix from the outside in, and you can't. You got to fix it from the inside out. And I would wager that the people that have done that didn't finish that 21 days at 5, 5, and 5.
Yep.
It probably went beyond that, because now you're thinking about
25 to 50 is what this one individual was pushing.
So now you're thinking. So now you're not just thinking about that 5, 5, 5. You're thinking about, well, I'm supposed to be losing weight or something. Maybe I shouldn't drink this Mountain Dew. Maybe I should, maybe I should go home and cook. Maybe I should get some
the
vegetables
subconscious
and
mind
chicken.
is saying,
if you made one decision a day, one meal a day to change, you would change 33% of your bad eating habits with one decision.
And so that's why I also prescribed during that 21 days, listen to compound effect. It's psychological warfare, because everything that you have as far as a bad habit, you're starting, and I say do it first thing in the morning when you wake up, do the push-ups, squats, and sit-ups, because it establishes this habit form right off the get-go throughout the day. Your hard part of the day is already done. I work out in the morning for that reason. It fits my time, line better, but I know by 7 a.m. I've had an hour to hour and a half of physical training and mental training both. So 3 hours of like complete development for me before 7 o'clock in the morning. I won already.
Rest of the day's cake,
the sun's not coming up and I've already won. So the rest of the day I'm prepared for it. And as you stack these wins and keep compounding these habits, they get much bigger. So the confidence grows, the commitment to the next thing is bigger. It continues just to evolve.
And
It's
there's
amazing
confidence with
effect.
that too.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about building confidence because as soon as you see it, you see the weight loss or the jeans fit different or whatever it is. As soon as you see that, now you've got that little bit of gratification that triggers to
Yes.
the rest of it.
Gratitude. It's something that in an instant gratification type society, I don't meet a lot of people that have true gratitude for the present moment. They call it the present because it's a gift. The present is a gift. Right now is a gift. Us being on this podcast is a gift. This opportunity is amazing for us to sit here and talk. Every day is a present. Every day is a gift. Finding what makes you happy and fulfilled in life, to me, is what success looks like. So what does success look like to you?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question. That's a deep rabbit hole. Ultimately, you know, the most successful thing I could do in my life is be a good dad. So personally, that family's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That tops it all. You know, professionally, I want to help as many people as I can, you know, whether that's in the clinic or in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help them get to where they want to be. But success is, man, that is so much.
Doing what you love, you know, everybody's success is different to me. I don't care what you want to do for a career. I don't care what you want to do in your life. If you want to, you know, be a school bus driver, a teacher, a trainer, an entrepreneur, a member in your community, whatever it is, you want what you want. So go get it and do it and be successful doing it by fulfillment internally. Because success to me is not an external accolade. And I thought, you know, I chased these goals. I buy R&R Pipeline. I thought the purchase of R&R Pipeline was going to change my life. And it did, but not in the way I thought. Because I felt nothing after purchasing that company. And I thought that one goal was going to set me free from all the misery that I'd been through. And it made it worse. And I didn't understand why. Until I got a little bit older. A few years later, I start to process it and understand that that was just part of the journey. The real win in life is the journey and in loving every moment of it and having internal gratitude for every day. The process is success to me. That's how I view it. And don't go to a job you hate every day. Don't go and do these things that you dislike and you're not good at every day. Find what you love and do it at the full capacity and enjoy it, and don't apologize to anyone for it because it's okay. You want what you want, and your success and my success are not the same. It's different because success is individual. And then when you find what individually makes you happy, being a part of a team that wants their own individual success, come together to form a team that can grow together, it's extremely rewarding because everybody has their own lane and understands where they're at, and it just creates a different viewpoint of life.
I feel like a lot of people, you know, to your point, view success as what they've acquired and what they're, you know, and not just even financially what they've acquired, but what they've acquired and, you know, there. But when you start thinking, I guess there was as corny as this is, Zig Ziglar has a quote that's, and I can't remember it verbatim, but it's something about you can get or do anything you want to in life if you help enough people reach their goals. I totally butchered that. That's not verbatim, but that's the thought.
Yes.
That's the paraphrasing. But that's kind of stuck with me that, like, man, if you provide value for people in their life, that value is going to come back. In whatever form it is, and whether it will be financial, it will be all these things. The most successful I've been in the clinic and in the gym have been when I've been more focused on helping people get to their goals. And, you know, at the end of the day, yes, that's a business, but that's my end of the business, is to provide that. So if I can get out of my own head and stop looking at myself and start looking at how I can be a part of this person's story.
Yes.
That's the mindset. It's this whole me thing, you know. And I think this is another play too. We've talked about, you know, people reaching their goals, and we're fighting things physically with the food and the health. We're fighting things emotionally with the division and the nonsense and the social media craziness and all this nonsense. We're fighting chemical, you know, with the stuff. We're fighting all of these things to try to be good people. And we don't realize how much that's taking away from us, because now we're focusing on ourselves. Am I measuring up to this person? Do I look like this person? Am I acting like this person? Do I have this? No. Like, these people are successful because they're providing you value.
Comparison is the theft of joy.
It sucks.
And I cannot agree more. And I look at this in our industry that I'm in. I'm a partnership type person. I'm a collaborator. If I have a great idea and I tell someone and they take it and run with it, and they launch it and it goes great, good for them. I didn't. But more than likely, it's not going to happen because the person with that spark and that ignition to start something has the passion to see it through. I don't worry about someone stealing anything of mine. I don't worry about outside competitors, because my competition is not the other companies that do what we do. My competition is getting the work done safely, and everyone goes home at night. I'm competing against the volume of work that needs completed safely and timely, not against people internally at our pipeline or our vendors or our customer. I'm working with them to get the thing done. Society today is not working together to overcome these big obstacles. They're fighting each other because of that narrative. So everyone's fighting this ideal or this narrative and not working together to beat it. And that's why they can't. That's why we, as a society, me and you are a minority as far as mindset and the wellness component. I would say there's a lot more people that are obese than aren't. Maybe have obese habits and don't physically show it, but poor habits are much more likely than great ones. It's fighting a narrative.
And what are you leaving, right? Like what's the message? Because, back in the day, like 70s and 80s, they used to call it adult onset diabetes because kids didn't get it. Now it's type 2 diabetes because now 1 in 6 kids are pre-diabetic in this country. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's astounding. And we're chasing it. And to the other side, we're not chasing it the right way. Everybody wants convenience to take a pill.
Right. There's the other part.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're 5% of the world's population, consuming well over 50% of the world's pharmaceuticals. And go take that stat and go compare our health stats with other countries.
Here's the big unknown or untalked about misnomer. Today's McDonald's compared to 25 years ago is not the same. We cannot compare from the last generation to this generation the food, because the food industry is drastically different. Yeah. It's like comparing an apple to a car tire. It is not even in the same category. That's probably where the awareness is so crucial to be needed, because Harvard scientists will back some of these studies because they're either getting their pockets lined or getting incentive from it. I've seen a lot of very intelligent people go down a rabbit hole that you can never come out of for money.
Listen, man, and everybody always wants to say, well, is there a study to back that? Is there a study to back that? Well, no, because who's going to tell you, who's going to spend all that money on a study to show you that elevated vitamin D levels help you fight COVID? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or
because it'll never be published.
Right, it won't get published. And anymore, all research is right now most of it. All it is right now is parameter laden, predetermined outcomes to the highest bidder. That's it. I can set parameters. I am the best dry needling chiropractor in the world that practices on Hopewell Drive in Heath. Because I'm the only one. I can set those parameters, and it's a predetermined outcome.
Yes, and that's the thing about it. A lot of the data today, look who paid for the data.
Yeah.
Look who is funding the research. And then look at their narrative. If the research matches the narrative, maybe you should look into it a little bit. Or get a third-party opinion with a non-biased funding component. If the food industry is backing the food as far as it being okay for us to eat and consume, well, are they also providing the drugs and big pharma and backing them to fix the disease that's coming with it? It's a revolving cycle. The news and the media would be dead if we didn't have chaos. What do they talk about?
Shock and awe.
Chaos.
Shock and awe, man.
They want the biggest story. The most negativity that you can have in the news is better for their ratings. So what are they going to talk about? They're not up there talking about this person being a great community, asset and giving back and philanthropy. They're not talking about good stuff.
You got to get people on a side. You got to pick a side to root for a team.
Division is driving capital.
Right.
The division is what is driving these big businesses being able to do these things.
It's like I'm going to sound. So a while back, I was listening to a guy talk about business placement, like where you put your business is important and all these other things. And he was talking about how where you see one fast food chain restaurant, you'll see another one right across the street, or gas stations on opposing corners. And they're like, well, why do they do that? And what they found was that both businesses did better for having that competition right there.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that blew my mind. But people want something. They want, even if it's picking what gas station, they want a side. They want to pick a side. Because
you see that Speedway or that Duke and Duchess across the street, you see all these people there, and you need a lollipop or a coffee or ice cream, or you're hardwired to want to stop there to get something. And then it's just like a natural thing, right? When you see it, you stop. Becomes a habit. I am huge on this. I pack a lunch almost every day. Almost every day I pack a lunch. I'll run and get something every once in a while, whatever, but preparation to me is absolutely one of the biggest vital things as far as habit generation. So generating new habits, recycling old habits, breaking away from that place that you don't want to be. The breakdown of your pain right now, or your setbacks, or the things that are holding you back from getting what you want out of life. So a project I'm working on has 3 phases. We have the breakdown. Break down your reality. What is all the pain in your life? Write down every issue you have. Then take the ones that are out of your control. You can't control the outcome completely. So I don't have money in my savings account. I can't afford this new car. A lot of them are economic driven. You can determine how much you save, yes, but can you determine, all these different outliers that are driven by interest rates in the economy? No. Focus on what you can't control. I know that the people I associate with are not good people. If I want to change all that, I got to associate myself with good people. I don't know where the good people are at. I just know I can't associate with the bad people. So that's where we build a bridge away from that breakdown.
It's so hard.
Break down, build a bridge away from it. You have to change your environment, your habits. Break down, build the bridge, and then you build it up. So the 3 phases are the breakdown, the bridge, the build up. And the build up is the highway to success. Once you figure out, I don't know what the end looks like, but I have a direction. I don't know what 10 steps looks like, but I know what 2 looks like. I'll take them 2 steps now.
And I'll go get the next 2. Yeah.
And eventually the highway, the lanes start to be built. And what starts out as this 2-lane highway becomes a 200-lane highway. And once you really establish what success looks like for you internally, it's always under construction. It never ends. And so that's how I frame it. It's a project I'm working on, but ego and fear are 2 of the biggest things that hold us back from actually recognizing our setbacks. Life happens for us. It doesn't happen to us. Everything that we have had as an experience, we can change the narrative of it and use it for the right reasons or for the better. So there's this famous picture. It's a guy in a suit and tie handing another guy that's homeless money and food. They both had the same dad who was an alcoholic. It's about choice after adversity, not the adversity. The adversity happens for us, and whatever the outcome is afterward, if we keep our mindset positive and we keep going for the greater good with a good mindset of a good outcome, if you think the outcome is going to be good, it's going to be good, regardless of what it actually is, because you're already predetermined a good outcome. Henry Ford said this. He had this famous quote. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And as you think through that, I don't know if I can buy Arnold Pipeline. Oh, I should be able to do this. No, I am going to do this by the time I'm 30. And don't get in my way because I'm going to run you over like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
That was my mindset, and that's what I did. But I've seen it be the other way, where you said earlier about should. If you question yourself, what do you think people around you are going to do? Whether you can or can't, it's what you think you can do. It doesn't mean you have to understand how to get there. It just means you have to try to get there.
You got to start. You got to go.
And you just have to believe it.
And I think one of the, in that same thought process that, my dad always used to tell me, he said, whatever you're looking for, you'll find it.
Oh,
it doesn't matter what it is. If all you see in the negative in people and the negative in life and what's going wrong,
all you're ever going to get.
You're never going to see the positive. You're never going to find your opportunity. But if you, and that doesn't mean brush that under the rug. Things need to be taken care of and dealt with. I believe head on, face that adversity, beat it down. But that adversity needs to have a positive spin. I'm looking for the positive. Adversity is going to make me stronger, and it's going to help me get to my goal.
You cannot create a better future until you create a better past. Your perception of your past is what ultimately can drive your future. So if you're a victim of all these circumstances in life and it's not an opportunity to get better, if you're just a victim, okay, so what? Are you just going to sit here and cry about it, or are you going to do something about it? Because everything we go through in life ultimately happens for us. It's just our reaction to that. And it doesn't mean it's easy. And a lot of time it's not easy.
No, if it was easy, everybody'd do it.
Tragedy and setbacks and unforeseen circumstances that come to us are detrimental, like mentally. You know, they can really hold us back. And there's a grief period where you just have to embrace it and be present and understand that this sucks. But what can I learn from this? What is the opportunity that I can make out of this for the greater good of my future?
Take that opportunity to work through it.
Yes.
Not avoid it.
Yeah. And hardship is something that I talk about embracing, because no matter what the pain is, I have felt more alive during the most painful moments of my life because it's so raw. You can't control the emotion. It's painful and it hurts. But because of my most painful day, my bad day, my perspective on life has changed, because now I understand that I had one bad day in 35 years of being on this earth, and that's it. And every day before and every day after has been good, because I know what a bad day is now. And that one lesson for me has helped me so much. I will never forget that day, and it still hurts when I think about it now, but I've created a better past about that situation, so I've been able to create a better future. And I have more gratitude today because of that experience than I probably would have had without it. It's still hard, though.
You have a decision to make.
Yes.
That's the decision. And the decision is optimism or negativity. Mm-hmm. And Michael J. Fox he made a quote. He said that with gratitude, optimism is sustainable.
I love that.
So, I mean, here's a guy suffering with Parkinson's, the stuff that he goes through on a day-to-day basis has just got to be
absolutely
just mountains that most people would never climb. And for him to say that in that's the one thing too. Yeah. Say that in that situation. Don't say that when things are good. You live that when you're in that situation.
Yes. And here's the inevitable part of it all. The one most factual thing in life is we all die. But that is not an option. We die. But it is optional whether you truly live a fulfilled life or not. And I think it's more prone to live a unfulfilled life today than it would be to actually live a fulfilled life. And just getting to a place where you understand that in itself is very powerful. So there is bias in the world. There is sexism and racism and a lot of bad people in the world with bad intentions. So what? If you are one of them people that are in that group that have had this disadvantage compared to the rest of us, so what? Are you not going to try? And the way that I look at it is, think of how epic your story is going to be and how much of an impact and a legacy you can leave for your friends or your family because of this additional thing that had you set back from the beginning.
Yeah.
You look at some like a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan, Oprah, they are minorities. They had such a bigger climb up this hill than a lot of people did. And their story's more epic because of it. And eventually, the setback and the adversity ultimately become the driving force by our passion. So we become passionate based on these things. And for me, we're sitting right here right now. I host a podcast. It's almost laughable for me to actually say that out loud on the podcast, just for the record. Right. I'm writing a book. I'm speaking at high schools. I'm doing things that 20 years ago, my ceiling of success 20 years ago was to be dead or in jail by 21. And now I'm able to give back because of that. Them statements didn't shut me down. They lit me up. And I'm grateful for all the adversity I've been through, because I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't have it.
The most successful people have been through the most diversity. Go tell Ben Carson how bad your situation is. I mean, come on.
the one kind of sad thing about it, the most driven, the most successful, the most champion mentally minded people have been through the most hell, more than likely. The best entrepreneurs and the most driven people that I've ever met have went through the most pain, but they're in the position because of it being framed the right way and because of it being fuel to be successful or different and not fuel to be the same. Doesn't mean it's easy though.
No.
And sometimes I wouldn't wish the life or the mindset that I have on anybody, because there's days where I just can't fathom going another day, but I don't negotiate with myself. It's just something that I do. I don't associate any other way. I don't let my brain negotiate with my body and vice versa. It is just go. This is what has to be done today to be better for tomorrow, because ultimately I had to figure out the hard way that I have to be my own superhero for me to be the best version of myself, but not who I am today. It's who I want to be in 10 or 20 years. So my future self is my superhero. I'll never become that person, but I'll always strive to be that person. And because of that, I'll always be getting better. And it's just what's worked for me. Let's talk about a statement you made earlier. You will always find what you're looking for. So make sure you're looking for the right things. I love that. I love that quote. You said was your dad to say that?
Yeah, he ever since I was little, I had actually wrestling is kind of really helped me when I was a kid, because I had a little bit of a temper, little bit
Understandable.
So
I can relate.
But I didn't have an outlet. I grew up as a preacher's kid. We didn't have a lot, and there was some tough times, and it was like, it was always, well, if that's what you want, how are you going to get it? So I had to figure that out from a young age. And it was just like every kid, almost every kid, you're like, oh, well, this sucks, and this, I don't have this, and this guy's got this, and if I had this, I could do this. But you don't. So stop looking at that. If that's all you're looking for, that's all you're going to see, and you're going to live in those people's shadows your whole life.
So good.
If you're looking for the positive, if you're looking at success, you're going to find it. If you're not, you're not. And if you're looking, if all you see around, like you said, the people around you, if what you see around you is substance abuse and alcoholism and, whatever chaos that is, or whatever you're getting into, and that's not where you want to be, and you're upset with that, there's a point where that's your own fault, because you're still there.
Yes.
Because you're actively looking for it. You're putting yourself in those positions. In jiu-jitsu, is the easiest way to get out of any move, any submission, is to not get in it.
Not get in the first place.
Just don't get in there.
Yep.
Don't put yourself in a position to fail.
Yes.
And so if whatever you're looking for, and again, you're going to hit bumps, you're going to fail, it's going to make you stronger. But if all you're looking at is your failures, you'll never see your successes, and you'll never be successful.
Yes. And what you deem as your own success criteria, the opinions of others normally is irrelevant unless you ask for advice on something. Don't embrace the opinions of others.
Yeah.
The man in the arena is by far my favorite quote.
Yeah, that's a great
The man
one.
in the arena is such it tells me everything I need to know about my life. I'm in the arena right now with this podcast venture and this initiative that I have to create awareness and change in our industry, and just hope to provide value to other people like myself. I'm in the arena. I've had a lot of critics, and I could have cared less about the criticism, because I know that my intent is good. Am I good at doing this? Hell no. Am I going to be? I don't know yet. I'm going to keep going.
We'll see what's up.
It doesn't matter, because my intent's great. My effort is max effort. So the outcome is irrelevant to me, because I know that with the best of intentions and with the most effort you can give, the outcome is going to be what it should be. And if it's not what you desire, then you didn't deserve it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with what I have because I deserve what I have. My grandma had a quote, and it stuck with me from the time I was probably 3 years old till now, whenever she says it. Wherever you go, there you are. Everybody has what they have in life because of their choices and actions. Mm-hmm. So if you're homeless on the street, choice, action. If you're a multi-billionaire living in this mansion in Beverly Hills, choice, action. It's that simple. You don't deserve anything you don't have. You desire it. If you deserve it, you already have it. But if you think that you deserve it and you don't have it, you don't.
And
you just desire to have it.
That quote, the man in the arena, it's funny. I send that quote we got a Discord for all the competitors, when we go compete and when I go coach. So the competitions where I'm coaching, I send that quote to the competitors before every comp.
And why do you do that? What's the driving force behind of it?
If you don't, I don't know how to say it. If you don't toe the line, how do you know? I can go in the gym every day. Everybody's a gym hero, right? It doesn't matter what endeavor it is. You can go in the practice room and nobody wins the practice room. The guy that wins the practice room is probably going to get throttled when it's go time. Nobody wins the practice room. The guy that wins is when they toe the line. Go find out. Go find out where your holes are. You will learn more in a 5-minute match in a tournament in jiu-jitsu than you will learn in a month of classes training.
It's the arena.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you don't know, and there's a different level. I love all the people that I train with and all that. There's a different bond with the people that I will be in Vegas with and the people that I go to nationals, because you see them around. That's a team. Like you're all out there towing that line. You're putting it out there. Let's see what's going on.
The level of respect at that spot is so much greater and higher, because everybody understands what it took to get to that spot with the belt you have, with the rank you have, with your age. We've all had different paths, but the respect is already, what's wrapped around your waist tells the story. And you can't fake your way to a certain pedigree of success. Being a gym hero is one thing. What are you going to do when you got thousands of people watching? You're on TV, the lights are on. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, and the ego's not going to cut it. The ego's not going to fill that void.
The ego is going to get you smashed out there.
It's funny that almost every jiu-jitsu gym in the world has somewhere in their gym it says leave your ego at the door. And if you don't, there's going to be a 150-pound comic book nerd that's going to whoop your tail and leave it at the door for you.
Yep.
Like,
looks like he should be going for the math rally.
Yeah, you see him off the mats and you think there's no way that's the guy that throttles
and he becomes
me.
Superman, right? And that's what's so amazing about jiu-jitsu. It's what you see is not what you get.
Yeah.
And I've been humbled multiple times, even in boxing and sparring, but in jiu-jitsu especially, because it's essentially hand-to-hand combat. And there was a lot of time spent on the ground where weight does play a factor in it. But holy shit, Batman, does technique come in and just wipe weight out, strength out, all of that.
Leverage works.
Very quick too. Leverage is something that I want to talk about, because leverage in life is somewhat similar to jiu-jitsu. What you can leverage to get where you want to go. How to get to a certain place by leveraging what you know and your strengths. Understanding leverage and then how to apply it is extremely powerful. So for you, and just talking about jiu-jitsu in itself, let's talk about the basics of leverage and how that impact has as far as advancement goes into jiu-jitsu.
Leverage is everything. They talk about the joke with white belt is just survive. That's the whole goal. And when you stop being a white belt, it's because you're surviving more elegantly. It's a progression. But the way that a guy like, Mikey Musumeci or some of these little guys out there that are just killing people, it's all about leverage. If I can isolate your arm, there's no way. If it's about fitness, if it's about strength, there's no way I should be able to even survive you for 30 seconds. But if I can isolate my entire posterior chain in my whole body onto your arm, now I'm using my whole body against one limb or to the neck or to whatever it is I happen to be attacking. And that brings about a level of focus, going back to your goals. I know that I need to be in a position to get to your neck, right? And so what are the steps to get there, right? And I got to make those progressions and get that leverage. But my focus, and I've got to be aware of what's going on, if you're trying to entangle my leg or something like that. So I got to be defensive and aware. And the further along you get in that progress, the more aware you are of that. But I need to be focused on what my goal is. so that I can gain leverage. I need to gain leverage here to get to here. And so I know if I can control your hips, get past your hips, control your shoulders, now I can get to your neck. If I miss the neck, I'm going to attack a shoulder. If I miss the shoulder, I've got the elbow, and then I'm going to start back again. And so I'm isolating that sequence. So I'm isolating that goal, but I'm using all of my effort for that goal. I'm using all of my effort to isolate, to gain leverage on that. And that's no different than any other aspect of life.
100%. You're focused on what you need to do to achieve the outcome you desire.
And if you're not putting effort in it, if you're dividing your effort, your efforts are going to be, your success is going to be divided.
And by dividing your effort would be being distracted by a potential secondary offensive move where you see an opportunity, you might be getting baited into it, whatever it may be, but you stick to the plan, you stay the course for what you had put in place, because that secondary option that you see might just be the thing that gets you in trouble. Staying the course, being aware. My theme for the year, for the most part, has been priority awareness. People are, in general, not even aware of what their actual priorities in life are. Can you tell me your 3 to 5 goals? What your revenue goals for the business, if you have one? What your personal, professional goals? Write them down. Do you look at them? Do you measure them? Can you see the progress throughout the year? And when I think about leverage, it's really the discrepancy between what you put in and what you get out. So if you look at leverage in Jiu-Jitsu, what you get out of it is what you put in it. Everything in life is that way. The more reps, the better you get.
It's got to become muscle memory. It's got to become habit. One of the coolest things that you hear as a coach is when somebody does something and they're like, oh, I accidentally did that right. I accidentally hit. No, you didn't accidentally. You put the reps in and the time in that when you felt that leverage, your body knew what to do and you did it.
You did not recognize it because you didn't have to think about doing it. It was
the body
natural.
just did it.
Yeah.
So I accidentally did this right is one of the coolest things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sign that you're
doing
we're
the right
getting
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
This is what we want. This is a sign of success, right? Because, oh shit, you didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to think through the steps. You did the steps unconsciously almost. That's where a lot of creativity comes from too. So I don't know if you've ever thought of this or heard this, but a lot of our creativity is putting puzzle pieces of our past together. The iron and infrastructure business is purely our pipeline, max effort muscle, and fear and adversity of mind mixed together. It's creativity. Steve Jobs had a famous quote that creativity is nothing more than past experiences. Paraphrasing, but something of that regard. Connecting the dots. And he talked about connecting the dots in one of his commencement speeches. He changed the world. Quite literally the entire world with the MacBook. And he was set up to go to college. He had I don't know if you know the story, but his birth mother gave him up for adoption and would not sign the adoption papers unless he went to a family that had college graduate. She was determined that he was going to go to college. He had it all lined up. He had adoption parents that had college degrees. They bailed at the last minute and ended up getting adopted after some back and forth with the birth mother. He ended up getting adopted by people that didn't go to college, but with the promise of him going to school. So he ended up going to, I think it was Reed University, like a Stanford, basically, as far as the amount of cost. And he hated it. He was miserable. And he realized the financial burden that it had on working middle-class parents. So he dropped out. He dropped out. He's sleeping on the floor of a dorm room and went by a calligraphy. It was a calligraphy course that he went and seen. So he started going into this course. Never had any, he didn't sign up for it. He wasn't registered, but he just went in because he was so enamored with calligraphy. And that's how the font of the MacBook was created. So he drops out of school, what seemed to be detrimental, but he just didn't want to do it. And he followed his gut, having faith about the end being the right thing, and he changed the world. And so you got to follow your gut sometimes and just know that if I want to get the leverage out of my life that I want, I have to do things on my terms. And as long as it doesn't impact other people negatively, like if you have good intentions and you give it everything you got, whatever the outcome is what it was meant to be. If I had to define hell, it would be me dying and meeting the person that I could have became and opening up this door for whatever's next and looking into this door where you meet the person that you were capable of becoming. And if I don't see my twin, I failed at life. Because a lot of people don't know what that would look like. I think I figured out who I could become, and I strive for that every day. But a lot of people die at 75 or die at 25 and are buried at 75 and don't live an actual life. We all die, but we don't all live.
Yeah. It's, as you're looking, it's hard too, because if I go back and try to tell myself this stuff when I was 18, 17, whatever, I can't say I wouldn't have brushed it off. I can't say I wouldn't, whatever, but I had some difficult things. And fortunately I had, amazing parents that really helped. And I understand that not everybody has that, but life's not fair. I had my own struggles as well that a lot of people didn't have. But nobody sees it from your perspective.
No.
Like nobody can see. I don't care how close you get to somebody. Nobody has the same line of sight as you. And when you talk to military people like snipers or assaulting, I've got some friends that have been, in some fixes. When they talk about, I heard one of them talking about, line of sight, and they talk about, I had this shot, or this didn't have this shot, didn't have this line of sight. You think about that, like, I'm the only one that has my line of sight. Not everybody saw my vision. Not everybody saw what I could see, and not everybody's going to see what you can see. And so, like, yeah, you want to take input, but you've got to chase that. Nobody's going to do that for you. Nobody can see that.
No. Nobody is going to save us but ourselves. No one is going to create change for us but ourselves. We are responsible for our actions and our outcomes, what we do daily, how we greet people. Do you treat people equally regardless of who they are socially? What is the thing how do you display yourself with action? Because people will show you who they are, ultimately. Everybody eventually exposes their authentic self, whether good or bad. And when people show you that, you just got to believe them. But I do agree 100%, because what my story is and how I tell it, other people in my life might see it completely different, but it doesn't matter. Because my experience is what I received as my experience is my story, my experience, and no one can tell me that it's wrong because it's what I felt and went through and seen. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's ultimately okay.
And neither one of you are wrong.
No.
But that's just your
perception
story.
of reality.
That's your reality.
Yes.
That's your life. That's your direction.
Yes. So I want to talk about something else that you touched on here real quick. Talked about time wasted and talked about time. Time is one thing that cannot be bought. It is one thing that we all have limited access to. We're not guaranteed it. It's ticking away every time. Every second we're doing this podcast, we have less time on this earth. It's scary to think about sometimes, but it's reality. What we do with it is powerful. You mentioned Zig Ziglar. Lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. We all have 24-hour days. So time equals life. Therefore, waste your time and waste your life, or master your time and master your life. So for me, I'm not going to associate with people that I don't love, that I don't want to be around, that I don't appreciate. It's a waste of my time if I am around negative. If I am in a group setting and I leave that setting with a negative return on investment, I'm not going to put myself back in that position. Do you have any staples as far as habits, or how do you maximize your time with your output and being intentional in what you're doing? Priorities.
That's the first thing that comes to mind is what's the most important thing to me in my life, right? And family's it. Family's it. Am I being a good dad? Am I being what I need to be for my son?
Yes.
Then it's the rest of that falls under that is, okay, so I'm there. But when I'm at work, he's at school. That's my focus. I've got to be in that clinic. I don't care if I'm the best clinician in the world, but I need to be the best clinician for that person at that moment in that room. And so that's how you maximize where you are. Mm-hmm. You've got time allotted for different things throughout your day, your job, your personal life, your fun time, your vacations, whatever it is. Are we going to have the most fun we can on vacation? Am I going to be the best coach I can in the room? Am I training what I need to be training to get ready for next week. Am I doing the things in that moment? And that's how I prioritize. Because if you set your time and you set your schedule based on your priorities, then when you're in that time for that, whatever that commitment is, be there. Be there, be all in for that.
I love it. You said it so well. I couldn't have said it better myself. I always talk about balance. I don't see myself ever being balanced, because balance to me is not being all in. I'm going to be intentional. And like what you said, focus with my time. If I'm with my family, 100%. If I'm in my business, 100%. The priorities have to align to the time. And for me, my ability to navigate through time, especially in a situation like right now, I have to understand what I can and cannot do well. I have to be vulnerable enough to ask for help to the people that can assist me in my weak areas. And I have to be very, very accountable personally for what I do, when I do it, and how I do it. And what I've realized is I'm doing an energy time audit right now. So my assistant Dane tracks all of my output, my results, everything I do on a daily basis. And now I don't even get in my email inbox hardly at all unless she tells me to. She's like the COO of my life. Shout out Dane. I can't wait to get you on the podcast. You better get ready. So she manages my life. And I'm great with that. It's better because she managed it. Because when I managed it, it wasn't worth a damn as far as how I spent all my time, because I was 60% maybe efficient with my time being allocated to the business, because I wasn't fully all in without distraction. And I think the priority and knowing what are my 3 priorities that have to be done this year. Are my actions leading to the accomplishment of these 3 things? Because I tell you from personal experience, I can be very busy, but action does not equal accomplishment. You can be very busy with action and not accomplish a damn thing because you're not prioritizing the time that needs to be there for it. Saying no is something people struggle with.
Yeah.
Because as we get better and bigger and better and bigger and continue to get more opportunities, it's really hard to say no to some of these opportunities because they seem so great. But kind of back to where we started with the mental component, when faced with this challenge in jiu-jitsu, it's kind of like an opportunity. You might have an opportunity to make a move you're not very good at, but you could possibly win the match because of it. Or can you be patient and go for what you know is going to work? The mental component of that is very similar, where this opportunity comes up that might help me get where I want to go, but I don't know for sure. It's uncertain, and there are a lot of gray area. But I know this path will work. Stick the course. Stay on the path.
Yeah.
Sometimes plans fail because you don't stick to it long enough.
You know, it's funny. There's 2 types of jiu-jitsu for the most part in gyms and in the world of the sport of jiu-jitsu. And one is jiu-jitsu that's fun, right? That's the flashy, the up and down, and now the very elite people do both of these together at the same time, and that's why they're highlights and they're freaks, and it's amazing to watch. Right. But you have hobbyists, and you get people who enjoy it, and they enjoy all the fun stuff and the flashy and the big whatever. And then there's effective jiu-jitsu, where it's simple. Because if you got to take 7 steps to get something done, I got 7 opportunities to stop you. If I've got 2 steps to get something done, you only have 2 steps to stop me.
Technician, right?
So I want to be efficient and I want to be in there. And I think when we prioritize, you also systematize how to do that. So, one of the things that, McDonald's and some of these places do really well is unfortunate.
Yeah.
You can get the same, the same slow death burger in Phoenix as you can in New York, because they have a process that does not change.
And it's
so you can
unmatched.
plug anybody into that with a little bit of training, and they can run that thing just as efficient. And if you can apply that philosophy to your life with your processes, is set systems in place.
Love it.
And so it's like, I know where I'm going to be tonight at 6:30. I know where I'm going to be. I know, and not to get into a pattern of comfort, but to push yourself. And that's what competitions do for me. I'm still nervous. I get nervous. Like, I get nervous thinking about it. I get nervous checking your stuff and weighing in and all this stuff, sitting in the bullpen and the stuff. But if I'm not pushing myself to overcome that, I've got a system in place that helps me get through that.
Man, you transitioned into one of my favorite topics, fear. You're nervous, but you're fearful, but you're not afraid because you're in that arena. It is okay to be fearful because that is just recognition that fear is real to us, but it is also made up by us. You can be fearful when sitting on that sideline and getting ready to go in that arena. And when you're sitting there prepping, fear's sitting right next to you. But the difference between that and what most people experience is you're in control of the fear. Being in control of fear is what is the ultimate driver to overcome it. Our fear sets our limitations. So if we're not willing to overcome our fear, that will be the limitation that we have in life. Being afraid to me is not okay, because being afraid means that you're afraid to fail. If you're afraid to fail, then you're never going to try. Understanding that failure is just a part of the journey, and that not trying to me is the ultimate failure. I am okay with not being good at something or failing at something. I do it every damn day. I fail at something in some capacity every day, but I'm trying.
Yeah, well, if you're not failing, you're not trying.
I win or learn. I don't ever lose. I'm either growing the business or I'm growing myself. I'm learning either way. I'm winning either way, because every setback, every failure, every loss, every heartbreak, whatever it is all a learning lesson, and that's it. Because we either win or we grow based on what we learn.
You know, you brought up an example of Michael Jordan a while back that everybody defines him by his successes, right? The big topic is LeBron or Michael, right? And well, LeBron's got more points and this and that. Well, Michael's got more rings, right? So it's this big debate going back and forth. But at the end of the day, everybody defines them and knows them by their success. Nobody talks about how many shots Michael Jordan missed. Go look that number up.
Oh, I know.
And don't think that guy doesn't know every one.
That's why he kept shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
So you define yourself. If you define yourself by your losses or by your failures, you're a failure. Don't do that. Define those failures as part of your success.
Yes.
Define those failures as part of your journey.
Failure is just part of it. And find me someone that is successful as an entrepreneur without failure. I'll wait on that.
Yeah.
Because you won't.
Good luck.
Yeah.
There's a guy going around on one of the social medias. He just goes around and asks people, hey, he finds wealthy people in different. Hey, have you ever been broke? Mm-hmm. This guy driving his Lamborghini. Oh yeah,
I think I know you're talking about.
Like 8 times I've been broke. What happened? Yeah. And then he talks about their success. Everybody, the wealthiest people were,
Jeff Bezos had multiple companies, and he was so intelligent. Elon Musk, same thing. Like, these are the most genetically gifted, right environment. Just could not have better environment plus genetic component. Like, they had the perfect package, and they still failed.
Yeah.
Because you're trying. The only guarantee, so entrepreneurship is interesting because there is a known cost. This thing is going to be extremely hard. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of capital. There's a known cost.
And it's not for the weak.
And it's not for the weak. But there is a known cost of hardship that's to be assumed that you're going to go through. There is an unknown return, though, because it doesn't mean that you know what the outcome is going to be. A known cost for an unknown outcome. And guess what, my friend? That is what makes it so much fun. That's what makes us feel success on the journey. Because if we knew that it was going to work, we wouldn't do it. Having things is not the ultimate goal. It's getting the things and who we become to get them. And that's, to me, what makes me feel success. It's the person I became to achieve the accolade, not the accolade itself.
When you learn to enjoy that process, the world opens up. Enjoy the process. And I'm not saying fear is fun. I'm not saying failure is fun. But if you enjoy that, if you learn to enjoy that process, and understand that's a chapter, I can shorten that chapter, or I can wallow in my own self-pity and make that chapter for the rest of my life.
Yep.
But when you realize that that's make that enjoyable part, that it's not the in the middle that sucks. It's when I come through this, it's going to be so much better. Enjoy that part and focus on that part.
How epic is the story going to be when I overcome this?
Right.
And we've all achieved goals that we said would make us happy. We all had this thing in life that once I get to this point, I'll be happy. Then why aren't you happy? You achieved that thing. It's always the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. I am just as future driven as anybody else, but I am aware enough of the present moment that today is a gift. And what I've done to this point has happened for me, not to me. It is a gift. And I'm grateful for every experience I've had, whether good or bad. It's been part of the chapter. It's been part of the book.
If you look at things like, my boy's 10 and he just, it was just yesterday. Like you just blink, right? And you don't ever want to miss a moment, right? And there's good times and bad times, right? Difficult times and all these things. But you wouldn't ever wish one of those moments away. And we look at that like that. Why don't we look at everything else like that? Why don't we look at the rest of our life like that? Like, that's the process. Enjoy the process. Like, take those moments in.
Yes.
And because, that mindset of I'm going to think about this part of my life this way, that's successful. But why? Yeah, I don't want to mess up.
Mindset should be across the board, right? Personal, professional, whatever it is.
I want that mindset that's successful here to be successful in these other places too.
So powerful too. It really is. I have this quote I'm going to read. It's certain that victory isn't always straightforward or definite. The path to achieving our goals is normally filled with setbacks and moments of self-doubt. That's why we have no choice but to be relentlessly committed to pushing forward, regardless of how challenging things become. So let us refuse to surrender in spite of challenges. Let's believe as long as we don't give up and push ourselves to the limit, success will follow. So if you go all in and don't give up and don't quit, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Quitting is failure.
It's, it's funny. Jiu-Jitsu, they say about 1 out of 10,000 people who start Jiu-Jitsu get a black belt.
Wow.
It's very small because it's a dedication. And you'll hear the people that are the best in the world, that are the best that have ever walked the planet. One of the first things out of their mouth will say, it's not about who's the best, it's about who's left.
Because back to where we started earlier, delayed gratification. You are going into this arena knowing at minimum to get to a peak level, it's going to take 10 years. If you can do something for 90 days in a row, you can get good. If you can do something for a year, you can get really good. If you can do something, say 5 years, you can get great. If you can do it for a decade, you can be the best or very elite at something. If you can do it for a lifetime, you can change the world. Think about some of the people that have done jiu-jitsu for a long time. What I have admired more than anything is the delayed gratification, but the emotional regulation that anyone in jiu-jitsu has at a high level. Because they don't get distraught. They are very calm, cool, collected, very thorough with their thought process. You can throw a bomb in the classroom and they're going to walk over, pick it up, and walk outside.
You watch those videos. These guys, they'll have cameras, whatever. Guys will walk into these gyms, these big, swelled up dudes, just walk in off the street and challenge the instructor.
Yeah.
And I love those videos.
I do too, because it's so funny watching them get their ass kicked.
Yeah. And those things I watched, it's funny. It's a little off, but it's hysterical. There's a guy I know in Nashville. He was, he's a phenom. He's just phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy. And this new blue belt is kind of full of himself. And there's a point where it's like they think that they're doing better than they are. Like you'll let a lower belt work, and upper belts do the same to me. Like the black belts let me work. They could smoke me at any moment. But you let them work. Well, these guys don't know enough to know what to not know, right? And so this guy was John, and dude put his phone in his gi, and they're rolling, and he's just moving around, pulls his phone out, orders a pizza while he's whooping this kid.
I love it.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you want on your pizza?" Kid's like, "What?"
I love it. Bruce Lee had a quote: when you find yourself in a room surrounded by your enemies, you should tell yourself, I am not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me. This is the kind of mindset you should have if you want to succeed in life. Get rid of the victim mentality. Because speaking about what you're capable of and vocalizing that, saying it, but not showing it with action. everybody realizes it. So as a leader of a company or a family, people are not going to listen to your words. They're going to watch your actions.
Right.
And when your words and your actions don't match, it is a clear exposure to who you really are. You just got to believe people when they show you who they are. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not always pleasant.
We always talk about at the gym, lead from the front.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I ask my students if they want to compete. Nobody has to compete. It's fine. That's your goals, your membership, your time, your life, whatever your goals are, I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll ask them, and I recommend that they do, at least try it, right? But I'm not going to ask them to do something
that you wouldn't do or that you haven't done. Absolutely.
Like,
that's what leadership's all about.
How am I going to get out there and coach you in a situation I've never been in?
Right.
Man.
And you see a lot of that today where a lot of people claim to be a coach or influencer or whatever, but haven't done anything. And I hesitated on even getting into this space whatsoever because I didn't recognize the value that the marketplace recognizes from me. I thought I didn't have anything to get out. Come to find out, I probably was wrong. It's to be determined, I guess. But ultimately, I look at it like this, and I did a podcast on this a few weeks ago, but there's three people in the world to me. The first one is the humble, confident person who is too humble at the detriment of their own ability, where they are so reserved and come off as not confident and not have an ability that they actually do because of being so reserved. So that's the first type of person. The second one is the one that isn't as good as he says he is and is very ego-driven, shouting affirmations, and the confidence is really driven by insecurity. And then there's the third person. That third person knows exactly who they are. And more than likely, from what I've seen and experienced myself, the third person was probably one or two at some point and then had the reality check or figured it out for what it actually is. I haven't met too many other people like that, either too ego-driven or too humble. It's hard to find the balance, but once you do, it does really help you navigate through life a lot. I want to transition into one quick thing, and then we'll wrap it up here. You're passionate about helping people. Jiu-Jitsu is something that, you're a damn brown belt, so obviously you put in 7 or 8 years. I know you had a break of time in between there, but your rank clearly defines your application and who you are in that. Nothing but complete respect for you as a former practitioner to some degree in some of the martial arts industry, but as a friend, nothing but respect. Let's talk about what's next for Derek Myers with your academy and the direction that you're heading.
Well, I am excited about a new venture, Ohio Academy of Jiu-Jitsu. And I've really kind of gone back to my roots on this. That, it's a culture, just like every industry, everything, it's a culture. And this is a place where people from all walks of life, cops and criminals, will share a mat.
There's no discrimination.
But everybody's there to get people better. That's not a place where, we talk about a lot of other things, but, I want to promote a culture that provides structure. I want to promote a culture that provides encouragement. I want to promote a culture that encourages competition, that encourages you to get better as a person, and isn't tearing down. I want a culture that we will check your ego. We're not gonna play around with that. Like there's not gonna be this, there's certain things in combat sports that are tolerable and not tolerable, and everybody knows. And you don't even need to be a practitioner to know
the unwritten rules.
What that is. Yeah. You just come in, and so we're getting ready to start this academy here in a couple of weeks, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about the opportunities this is going to provide, and not just as a jiu-jitsu gym, but as the opportunity to help people that want to do something active long term. We're going to provide opportunities to help them recover. We're going to provide opportunities to help them be proactive. We're going to provide opportunities for them to travel, to do things that they want to do and gain experiences. And we want to provide a culture that's going to build itself. that, yeah, I'm going to be a big part of that, but it's something that I could not be there, and that culture should still thrive.
Yes.
So
The vision for something like that is what ultimately drives it. And, the beginning phases of culture development are the toughest. Once it's established, though, and everyone's rowing the boat the same direction, is when greatness can happen.
yeah, 100%. And that's the biggest thing is where's the direction going?
Yeah. And if you don't have a clear direction, then you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to implode at some point. If you have a direction and you don't have unity with the team, it's not going to get there. And what you're doing, I commend you on, because you are taking a leap of faith on something that you have a conviction for, and you will not be told otherwise, because it is for the greater good, for what your moral ground is and what you believe in overall. And I commend you for that. I don't think you realize it now, but the people in your life are going to see what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that will define your legacy in so many ways, because your son is going to see that you had this thing that you went and risked it for him, for everybody, not for you. You're not doing it for yourself. You're pioneering a new way and a new opportunity for the people you love and care about the most, and to create change, not just here, but across the U.S. And as you continue to strive and do so, this is going to be something that I think, because of your passion and your commitment to it, is going to be extremely impactful in the community. And I think it's going to change so many lives in such a great way. Not only the benefit of the discipline, the exercise component, the wellness, but they're going to get a one-stop shop from tear down to build up. And that's absolutely beautiful in itself, because you are going to be able to navigate the recovery in such a way it's going to accelerate the growth 10x what it would be if you're just tearing people down. And for that, my friend, I commend you fully and have nothing but respect and love for you on that.
It's funny, the clinic is, that's what I do every day, is help people, right? You help people get their lives back and do things they want to do. And it's extremely rewarding, but I look at that and think, what if my kid doesn't want to do that? What if he doesn't want to go into healthcare, which is fine. It's a tough industry to be in right now.
Yes, it is.
But we're on the same boat here in the clinic. We're heading in the right direction. That's all good. But where can I make the biggest impact in people's lives? We have people, I got friends that started Jiu-Jitsu because they were suicidal.
It is such an avenue for stress relief. We don't have a depression issue. I think we have a lack of exercise issue, or lack of outlet.
Lack of motivation and exercise.
When you don't move and you don't be active, you don't get sunlight. I mean, I know I've had some friends of mine that were going through some real adversity, and I quite literally said, take your shoes off, walk outside in the grass. If it's nice out, take your shirt off, take your sunglasses off, expose yourself to the sun, walk in the grass for 10 minutes and then lay in it and take a damn nap if you have to, but be present in the moment. Don't think about anything, and just like a meditation.
Just unplug for a minute.
It will completely clear the slate, and you're so much better off at the end. I went through this as a kid where I had a life event happen and I was angry because of it. And I had a choice because of actions I took with fights, got in a lot of fights, got in a lot of trouble drinking, and I punched a lot of holes in a lot of walls. So the drywall man was sick of coming to the house, I guess. It was either go to anger management or get kicked out of the house. And I started boxing with Dustin Myers at the old school gym at that time. And that was the best anger management I could have ever had, because I walked in pissed, wanting to kill everybody, walked out grateful and humbled. And Jiu-Jitsu is the same way. Our adversity has to be dealt with and has to be recognized and expressed an outlet in some sort, whether vocal or physical. And what you're doing is giving a platform for people that are in a bad place to walk in with a bad mindset and walk out with a better one.
Yeah.
And eventually that bad mindset will lead to a good mindset if they stick with it.
It's funny.
So I commend you for that.
Thank you, man. The most dangerous people I know are the most humble and kind people out there.
Quiet ones.
And that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
To be a part of that. And the stuff that you put out here on this is, I know it's the pipeline and all this stuff, but it's, maybe that's the genre, maybe that's the platform, but what you're putting out here is,
it's all about
way deeper.
Personal, professional infrastructure development, because just like you, I have a passion for helping other people because of my experiences in life. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You die twice, once when you're buried in the ground, and the second time is the last time someone says your name." So if I can make an impact, I want it to be out there forever.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm going to be damned if I don't try.
Yeah.
And so if it does leave a legacy or make an impact, I want it to be there forever. And the start of that came from fear. Taking my shirt off in front of other people and being on camera like we are right now. This is one of the biggest fears in my entire life. 30 plus years of facing this fear, I was reluctant. I would never do it. When I first became a part of Max Effort Muscle, I would come in here and they would put a phone in front of my face. I'd about shit my pants. Terrified.
Right.
I would freeze, not know what to do. And now I face my fear every day, and I'm pretty comfortable doing it. I might not be skilled at it, but I'm comfortable and vulnerable enough to know I'm going to get better because I'm not going to quit, and I'm going to continue to put myself in the arena. And all the people in the stands with me in that arena, that are all the critics in the stands, their opinion don't matter to me.
Right.
Come down in the arena with me, and we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
You're getting ready to step into the arena, my friend, and I have nothing but love and respect for you. And I
Same.
wish you nothing but the best. What was the name of the academy?
Ohio Academy of Jiu-Jitsu.
And then your wellness practice. What's the name of it?
Results Chiropractic and Wellness.
That's where you can find them, ladies and gentlemen. You're on Facebook.
Yep.
You got websites, everything.
Yeah, all that stuff is up.
The brand will be launching for the academy here soon.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. By the time this episode's released,
We'll be up and going.
oh boy, you better watch out. Derek
on out.
Myers, thank you for your time today.
Man, thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, I hope you took notes. If not, you better hit the rewind button and come back to it. Find it on YouTube if you'd rather watch it. Appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
Iron and Infrastructure Podcast, we're out.